All right, hi, and welcome to another video of the Target Individual program, Target Individual Experience. As you guys can see in the background, right, the light, how it's a yellowish color. That's because the um, color balance on the phone is off. And so in my bedroom, there's yellow light. Now, whenever I'm doing a video, I don't usually film with just this light unless it's night. Then the color gets a little cooler. So whenever I get ready to do a video, and there's this the color balance it shifts um, from the phone camera, uh, they will do the car honking, right? Now I have another light which I use to do my videos. So when I turn it on, now the color is more of a neutral color, right? It is more of a daylight balance light. And whenever I turn this light on in this video, they will do a spitting sound. They will project. I should say they will project a spitting sound, right? So it just happened, and I said, you know what? Let me just do this video because again, I don't want to forget. I've they've always done it, and I've never really thought about making a video explaining uh, about what it is that they do in this particular instance. So hence why I'm leading off with this. Also, so I call Pam and I ask her. I said, "What is it that you sent me last night? What was it that you text me?" She says to me, "I don't know." And I'll call you back. And then she whispers, "Bye." So I talk about this, how at times she would be very aggressive, saying bye, 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 and repeating it. Okay. Then she'll say it in a more um, normal tone, neutral tone, right? And then she'll whisper, or she wouldn't say nothing at all. So when I said, okay, so if I'm talking to her, I said, hey, okay, all right, uh, uh, have a good day, bye. She wouldn't say nothing. Okay. Then there are times she'll get very aggressive with the, she'll say like, well, bye, and I'm like, and I've spoken to her about this before, right? Till she gets that point where she say bye, whispering bye. Now, my friend, my ex, who I speak to, from, also, um, and I explained to you guys before, she's someone that I was engaged with in my early 20s. And, we broke up. She got married, had two kids, what have you. Her husband died you know, of an illness. And so she reached out and we've been speaking ever since, right? And speaking as friends, call her for advice. She calls me for advice, stuff like that. Particularly anything in electronics, she'll call me. She's like, my kids always call you, our personal tech guy, right? So she will sometimes do that, but except she doesn't get aggressive with the bye. But she will either say bye in a very low tone or not say anything at all, right? So she doesn't repeat it like Pam does, and she doesn't say it in an aggressive manner like Pam does, right? So I've noticed that, you know. Now me, I've always whenever I'll either say good night, talk to you later, have a good night. I would say bye also, um, but my tone is always the same, right? My tone is always the same. So when I recognize these things, I know that they're being influenced and they're being conditioned in a certain way to say these things, right? And as I'm talking about, is the police showed up and with the whoop again outside, right? So and again, whatever narrative is being put out there by these criminals, okay, they have these women believing it, and they have to be, I guess they have to make it so convincing to them, right? But again, like I said, they're not saying what they did to me or others. They're not speaking about their covert warfare against TIs. They're not talking about the covert psychological operations they run on us TIs. And because they are law enforcement, like I tell people, including black people, when you see And what they'll do, they'll send other black people, and they will use black people, particularly black women. I'm a black man. They will use black women against me. They will send honey traps. They will, and they know how they condition our women too, right? To always blame men, never take accountability for their action. It is always the men's fault. This is how they divide and conquer us as black men and black women. And then you have black men now who are also engaging in the same behavior. Instead of trying to build the community, because we see what's happening, trying to put black women at the forefront by giving them these carrots dangling in front of them, right? Manipulating them to believe in the lies and the deception while ignoring the truth. So I watched a video of a young lady. She was on a show called Fresh and Fit. And she's like, well, I want a millionaire because, when I'm coming in, I'm bringing a bag with me. So you know what the word bag, they always say that. These are the women saying that shit, right? Sounds just like men. Just like men, okay? She's bringing the bag with her. I'm like, okay, so he asked, one of the hosts asked, he said, well, you say you're bringing a bag. What much income you make? She was like, 50,000. She wants a millionaire, okay? Who is a millionaire? Man who's a millionaire. But she, in her mind, she think $50,000 going into a relationship with a millionaire is bringing in the bag. This is the logic. This is not, I wouldn't say the logic, but this is the dysfunctional thinking that a lot of these women have. They have been conditioned, right? And I tell parents all the time. I say I understand the way you behave. You've been conditioned. We've all been conditioned, but you have to reach a point. You're almost 50, where you have to become self-aware and see what's really going on. Okay? Because I said to her, I've been there. I didn't know that I was being psychologically manipulated. Okay? But the minute they see you standing up for other black people, another black person, that's a no-no. That's a no-no. They will psychologically manipulate you, promising you things, giving you a false sense of power. Right? Because they're trying to create their dark personalities or their dark personas on us as a people. I'm talking about black people, right? And again, I started listen. I have an audiobook called Wetico, and I started listening to it, and they hate it when I listen to that book. They will constantly with the police siren. But it's a funny thing though, because when I'm listening to the audiobook Wetico, as I'm listening to it, I don't hear no car honking. I don't hear no sirens because it's talking that Wetico, the author who wrote that book, is talking about these people with the dark tribe personality type. Whenever I'm listening, I'm reading about dark psychology, dark NLP. I don't hear any car honking or police sirens because they're talking about these people, right? These dark tribes who are in law enforcement, who are in the security agencies, who are in the military, right? Who've created these weapons, who've created these psychological operations, these white racists, and the black ones, and the white ones in black skin. Okay? So, I understand. Like I said, you gotta understand who these people are. You gotta understand the psychological tactics, methods, and programs. You gotta understand about dark psychological projections. This is why we as black people, and particularly the orchestrated and intended conditioning of black women to be delusional, okay, to blame black men. So they want all the accolades and the praise, and they want none of the criticism. There's no group of people in America today that have been conditioned to attack each other, to belittle each other, and there's no group of women, except for European women, who have been conditioned to be exactly what the white racists say that they are: hypersexual, masculine, caricatures. I can go on, right? But I'm not. And there's no other group of men other than black men who have been conditioned to not want to create strong communities of men who are united, who have a purpose, okay, and who treat each other with respect. This is why I've never used the word, I should say never used the N word, but put like this, there's very few times I used the N word, even when I was younger. Okay? Very few times I use that word. And now I don't even use that word at all. For the past, over 2 decades now, I have not even used that except for in context. If I'm reading something or if I'm trying to explain why we shouldn't use that word. When I go outside, I call my brothers young kings, my brothers. Okay? And I tell them, I said all the time, when I said, "What's up, kings?" Doesn't that sound better than "What's up, N word"? Now I know you have people out there who say, "Well, this word has no, no, no." Okay, that word, whether it's A or ER, is meant as a negative thing. No matter how we, as black people, try to say, "Well, it's empowering." It's not empowering because when you get mad at something, you hear it on rap videos. You hear it when we get mad at each other. I'm gonna f you up, N word. How is it a term of endearment? How is it an empowering term? You got to think. It's not an enduring term. It's not an empowering term. Okay. So we know they'll say, well, it comes from the word Negus, Niger, Niger. Okay, that's a river in Africa. Okay. So when white people use that word, it was to degrade us. It's the same as when why you don't see people celebrating the swastika. You don't see the Ashkenazi Jews or European Jews taking the swastika and using it as some term of endearment, as some empowerment term. They don't do that. They don't do that. Okay? I mean, come on. But anyhow, didn't want to make this video too long. Uh, it's just like I said, it's a never-ending thing. They have, and this is why I fight back, right? This is why, because once you know the truth, once you start to do the research, and they will try to prevent you from learning the truth, and then they will, again, use the labeling, right? There are many types of labels they can use, all right? So as TIs, you got to understand, and so you have to try to change some of that narrative. See, because this is why they don't want you talking to people. They don't want you educating the people because they are afraid that when you start speaking the truth, that it will override the lies that they have fed them. This is why they don't want us as TIs talking to anybody, right? So this is why you see they'll attack us, So if they see you talking to somebody new, or I should say talking, but explaining, what they've done to you, the next time they'll get that person to target you now. So now you start to, well, no, I can't go back and talk to this person. But that's not what I do. That's not what I do. I speak to them and I tell them the truth. I said, listen, just look at, just look. You're a black person. You know how it is. You have to understand that, and that has to be your reality, the truth, right? If you got an issue, you come in and you ask me. You'll get an answer. And whether you like it or not, that's on you. But that's not what we've been conditioned to do. We've been conditioned to accept what certain groups of people say, particularly the Caucasian people, and take it as truth. Sorry to bring her up again, but I was talking to the kid's mother the other night, and I said to her, I said, I said to her, divorce lawyers, you know, when they talk about um, when they give relationship advice or marriage advice, they always tell men, whether they're divorce lawyers for men or women, they always say, never marry women who work in these industries, right, or in these professions, right? And I told her, I said, nurses is one of those professions, probably at the top. And she was like, why? Like she didn't know. So I said to her, I said, well, because she's like, oh well, they got a lot of male nurses stuff. I said, exactly. Not also that, but they sleep with each other. The male nurse, the woman nurse, the doctors, male doctors, women doctors, they are sleeping with each other. And she's like, oh yeah, I know that. Now she's a nurse too, right? But she always take herself out of the equation, even though she probably doing the same thing that they're doing, right? So then she just became really, really quiet. So I said, I'm not gonna get into it because I was getting ready to go. I said, okay, but I wanted her to think about this, right? Because in those professions, these nurses and these doctors, they have access to drugs. This is why a lot of them, particularly white male doctors, uh, have a drug habit. Okay, and that's just the truth. So when I, like I said, when I say those things to her, she knows, right? She knows, but she becomes unaware until you put it in their face or her face or his face or have you, the truth. Then it's like at that moment, then it's like, yeah, you're right, that's true. But then as soon as you remove yourself from their presence, they go right back into becoming unaware again. That's as black people. That's how we are conditioned. Okay. There was a black woman who got shot and killed, who was shot and killed in Florida by a white woman who took her kid's iPad, broke it, and when the black woman went to knock on her door, the white woman shot through the door, killing the black woman. This black woman had 4 kids. They did not even arrest the white woman. The sheriff come on TV talking about, well, we got to do an investigation and this and that. So let me ask you a question. As Benjamin Crumb said, if the role was in reverse, if a black mother shot a white mother, would the police stand up in front of the cameras and say, well, the reason why we haven't arrested the mother yet is because we have to do an investigation, we have to talk to people, we have to talk to the children to see if they do anything. All of that takes time. Now, this is in Florida now. And you black people that live in Florida, you need to understand, right, that the laws in Florida they have created is against you. Like, stand your ground. Who knows what other law that they pass where you see white people are now shooting people who knock on their door. Okay? See, the law, and again, she lived in an apartment complex, right? So it wasn't like she's on private property. Okay? But we had it where you see white men and women start to shoot anybody that's, if they have a house or have you, the person could be coming to ask you a question or to sell you something or to promote something, or they might have been lost and trying to find, ask questions. And black people, let me tell you, stop knocking on people's door. Okay? If you want direction, call 911. All right? Or use your GPS on your phone. But like I said, they do this because, again, it's what is called ritual murders. So, for example, these kids were playing. They all live in an apartment complex, and these kids was playing at somewhat like a semi playground. The white woman claimed that that playground belongs to her. Right? Take the kid tablet. Use disparaging language, calling them the N word, little N words. Right? Broke the kid's tablet, kids told their mother. The mother went to knock on her apartment door, and she shot through the door. I said, whenever you see things like this happen in the manner in which it's happened, that is a ritual killing. Right? It is a ritual killing. You see, white people have to traumatize us, because when you suffer trauma, see, trauma is how they break down our minds. So whether it be within our own community, we're conditioned through menticide to cause trauma to each other, to cause trauma to ourselves. Understand that these things don't happen to white people regularly. It doesn't happen to Asian people regularly. It doesn't happen to Hispanic people regularly. But to black people, it happens all the time. And I keep saying, this is a trauma-based mind control program within the society, perpetrated on us by the white racists. And I don't see anybody, no black professionals talking about this. You know, they may talk about traumas that we've had in the past, but this is a program that has been ongoing, and we know that even when we are not living in close proximity of these things happening, when we see it on the news, when we hear about it, so it subconsciously it causes us trauma. So we really need to understand what's going on. All right? Anyhow, I'll talk to you guys in the next video.